Hi everyone, my name is Brittany Adams. I'm currently in the Assessment, Curriculum, and Teaching program with a concentration in STEM education. In addition to this course, I have one more class and then I will be done with my master's. I graduated from Millersville in 2018 with my bachelor's in elementary education. I just started my third year teaching as an elementary STEAM teacher at Lincoln Charter School. Lincoln Charter School is located in New York City. As a STEAM teacher, I teach students in grades 3rd through 5th. In a typical school year, I see each class for 1.5 hours each day for an entire week. Since there are 4 classes per grade at my school, I see each class for about 1 week, once a month. This year, we're still figuring out what STEAM will look like and are still working out scheduling, but most likely I'll be teaching all virtually this year. Typically during STEAM, I integrate engineering, robotics, and coding and design concepts into the math, science, and reading content that the students learn in their classes. We do a lot of hands-on learning, and I'm super lucky that I have access to a ton of technology tools at my school like Sphero and Dash robots, 3D printers, Hummingbird robotic kits, drones, and Makey kits. So it'll be interesting to see how I can incorporate those technologies and kind of change up my lessons to fit the virtual teaching this year. When I'm not teaching, I love spending time with my family, especially my 7-year-old nephew, who you can see in the picture below. I'm also a huge fan of all things Disney, and Disney World is my favorite place to be. I also enjoy reading, running, baking, going to the beach, and making things, whether it be crafting, baking, or designing. In response to the questions about this week's content, I believe that right now, the most difficult stage of the action research process for me would be identifying a specific enough area of focus. I think this part will be the most difficult for me because, as we've discussed in previous courses, having a good research question is a major component of conducting effective research. For me, I often struggle with narrowing down all of the important topics into a concise statement, making the area of focus specific enough that it's effective, but not too specific that research is limited on the topic. By creating a well-constructed research topic early on in the process, I feel you're setting yourself up for more success in the future, so I think this will be the most challenging, especially since it's early on in the process and this is a new thing for me. After reading the section about making action research part of daily teaching, a few obstacles came to mind. The first one that I thought about is getting comfortable enough with conducting research while instructing so that it doesn't feel like an extra component that's needed to be added to the classroom. A lot of good points were brought up in the chapter that made me optimistic that getting to this point is doable, but I feel like it will definitely take some time to get to this point and to get comfortable enough collecting research that it doesn't feel like a second obstacle needed to be added. Another obstacle that I thought about was shifting your mindset to think about action research as a way of restructuring your class time instead of just as an extra component that's needed to be done. I feel like by making this mental shift, it makes the idea of becoming a teacher researcher less intimidating and much more realistic, but it does take some time to get used to thinking about it that way, and it does have to be intentional or it is an obstacle that you might run into. I also think that being open to self-reflection and getting in the habit of making self-reflection a priority will be an obstacle that will need to be overcome. Especially if you aren't used to taking time to think about your teaching and think about the practices that you're using, this could be something that could be stressful or be challenging for many teachers who aren't used to it. In regard to the stories from the field, the first story resonated with me more. I liked this story because the demographics of the students and the characteristics of the school discussed are very similar to those at my school. Both the school discussed in the story and the school that I work at are located in inner cities. We both have high populations of students who live in poverty as well as large amounts of students who are ELLs. Additionally, a large population of both my school's parents and the parents discussed in the story don't speak English at home. Because of this, I felt that the strategies discussed would be applicable to my students, and I could easily see how action research could be incorporated into my classroom because it's such a similar setting. I also liked this story because I liked how the teacher included conversations with the students about what worked for them as part of her research. So often, we only want to look at the students' data quantitatively. And so I liked that this teacher took the time to talk with her students to see what strategies they preferred so that this could be utilized as part of her data that she collected. I never really thought about including student opinions about what they liked or disliked with teaching styles as part of data, so it was interesting to see how she included that. I also liked this story because her action research included parent involvement as a component. At my school, we are always looking for ways to see how we can get parents involved, especially those who speak Spanish, so it's interesting to see how the action research coincided with parent involvement. Overall, I am really excited for this course as conducting research as an educator is not something that I have had very much experience with. I'm excited to work with you all, and I look forward to learning from you throughout the semester.